Welcome to Two Chicks and a Horror Flick, a weekly horror movie review podcast. I'm Tawny Ray.
And I'm Felicia Connor. Subscribe to get new episodes every Wednesday. We dive into trivia, drink a little whiskey, and of course, give our no BS opinions.
Join our Discord server or message us on social media to talk all things scary.
And if you like the show, consider supporting us on Patreon.
You can find all these links on our website, twochicksandahorrorflick.com. Thanks for listening.
Now let's get scared.
Hello, welcome back to the podcast and happy Valentine's Day. Today we have an extra awesome episode for you. We're going to talk about bones and all. Yay, Felicia, but before we get into all that, sorry, I keep interrupting you.
Well, I literally was just saying yay multiple times, so.
Yay. What are you drinking?
So, I have decided to really just branch out and improve my relationship with alcohol. We've talked about it before. You're probably like, oh, Felicia. No, you're not doing that because we're friends and you care. And I mean all of us listening. But I thought, you know what? I've always wanted to do this. I want to mix things up and let me do some mocktails. So I spent like a whole bunch of time finding mocktail recipes that really look like mocktails, not just like juice.
Right. Yeah.
Other thing. And so what I'm drinking, I found this one's the first time I've made it. It's called a sparkling blood orange mocktail. And so here it is on the rocks. I even used my husband makes this fancy ice. So yeah. It's a whole process where it's all clear and everything and it melts slower. So I got my fancy ice, my rocks glass. It's really yummy. It has freshly squeezed blood oranges. So I squeezed them all fresh. Honey, vanilla extract, lime sparkling water.
Ooh, that sounds
It's
really
very
good.
yummy and it's not too sweet because that's another thing with mocktails often are just like pina coladas with no alcohol in it. Just like really, really sweet. It's really nice and refreshing.
I wish I had one of those right now. I'm like jealous.
It is really nice. It's a nice flavor.
Yeah. Did you follow a recipe or something that you found?
Yes, and I can share it with you.
Okay, please do. That'll be fun.
I wish we were sponsored by these people, but we love this Recipe Keeper app. And every single time I just pump recipes in there. And so I created a whole mocktail section.
What is it called?
It's called Recipe Keeper. Or the drink? Or
No, the recipe app.
Yeah, it's Recipe Keeper, and it has like a bowl with a little whisk, and it's so cool because, and we're not sponsored by them, but it's so cool because it syncs with Steve's phone as well, and you could make shopping lists from it. You can do all kinds of stuff, but the really cool thing that I love it for is you can manually add recipes, or you could put a website link, and it scans the website and populates everything. Or if you only have a picture, like from a book, you can highlight and import from a picture. So it's super fast. Make a list, and that's what we use for like our shopping list and everything.
Damn, I was just thinking that we need one of these because like I use Pinterest for like recipe, but it sucks because you gotta like open Pinterest, open the board, find the pin, open that, then open to the website, then you gotta click the like jump to recipe button, then you gotta deal with all the ads on the page. It's just like such a pain in the ass. And so I was just thinking, and I was looking at one, but I can't remember if that was the one. But I need one of these in my life. So
this one, we're obsessed with it. We're absolutely obsessed. It the ingredient shopping list thing is to die for. You literally click on a recipe, click add to shopping list, and then you can unselect things like if you already have them. And then boom, nice. You have a whole shopping list. It divides it up by produce, dairy, blah, blah, blah. And you're good to go. And it syncs to everyone's phone.
Can you like edit the recipe once it's in there?
Yes.
Oh,
so it uploads you can edit it whenever you want. So you can change it. It's really easy. Like if say you have like also if it's two servings, you can click the little plus 12 servings and it adjusts everything. But yes, you can also edit however you want.
Ooh, okay. I'm getting this. I'm getting it after we finish recording.
Maybe we should tag them so they know. Can we be your sponsor?
Yeah, not sponsored, but could we be?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
What are you drinking?
I've got a grape Olipop over here. It's in my koozie, so you can't really see it, but that's what I got. Although you'll be sad to learn now that I have canceled my Olipop subscrition.
Why?
I know. Not because of anything that Olipop did wrong. I love them. They're so good. But we're trying to eat more at home, which we've done a very fucking good job of, by the way. Can I just brag for a second? With the exception, over the last like 3 weeks, with the exception of my birthday dinner, we for 3 weeks, we didn't eat out at all. Like we didn't get fast food. We didn't stop for coffee. We didn't eat at restaurants. We didn't Uber Eats.
That is
Nothing.
amazing.
I know. I think it's actually the longest I've ever gone in my entire life without eating out. Like I've just always been a fast food person ever since I was a kid. And now I have all these dietary fucking restrictions. So I can't like eat anywhere. And all the food is bad. It feels like. And so I'm like, we just need to like buckle down and do this. We just need to like cook at home. So we've been doing a very good job. Not as good of a job this week. Still good. On the way home yesterday, I was on the way home from work and I almost stopped and got Taco Bell. And then I was like, what am I fucking doing? I have a pizza. I have a half a pizza right here that I got from my work for lunch, for free. So I'm like, I'm just going to go home and eat that. Why would I stop and get Taco Bell? So I'm like, I don't know. It's a whole new world out here, but
that is awesome.
With that, a part of the reason is like healthier eating, but the other part is like to save money because it's like so fucking expensive. If you Uber Eats like 3 times in a month, it's like $150, right? So we're trying to save money, but what ended up happening is we kind of didn't save any. We ended up diverting all of the money we would have spent to groceries, which is like not terrible because we still have benefits from that. We're still eating healthier. But that was kind of the point, is we wanted to save some money. So I canceled the Olipop subscription because that was like $60 a month.
Wow.
Because we got a 12-pack case. They're expensive. I've always said that since the beginning. Like I know that they're expensive, but they're so fucking good. And we feel like it's worth it. But for right now, we're just trying to cut the spending down. But we had it every 2 weeks. 2 weeks we'd get a 12-pack.
Oh,
so
gotcha.
$30 per 12-pack, which is fucking crazy. But it's good for you, healthy for you soda. So
yeah. Okay.
Sad though.
So Steve, just for everybody, we're the same. We Grubhub, drop it like it's hot constantly. He's like, we got to stop doing this. We're spending so much money and we also want to eat healthier, but it's like at dinner time, all hell breaks loose and we're
totally.
like, ugh, we don't want to cook. So anyway, he went and picked something up from the place. And then he goes, I'm just curious. I don't remember what he picked up. He's like, I'm just curious. He put the exact same order that he picked up in the Grubhub app. And it was 50% more in the Grubhub app than he paid by going to the place. And he literally said, nope, never again. And he deleted the app.
Oh, geez. Was it because of the delivery fees and all that? Or was it like literally the prices were also higher?
The prices were also higher.
Oh,
so
shit.
there is that delivery fee, but the prices were also higher.
Okay.
Check it out next time, you guys. Next time you let me go over to this McDonald's or whatever it is that you want to go to, buy it, and then do it in the app and see.
Damn. That's how they get you, Yeah. It's the convenience. Anyway, because it's Valentine's Day when we're releasing this, but we're recording before then, obviously. Do you have any Valentine's Day plans? Are you guys doing anything?
We don't really do anything for Valentine's Day. I think I get like some little candies and a little stuffy for the kids. But we don't usually do anything. I think usually maybe we'll order some food, or now after that, maybe we'll go pick it up. But yeah, we pretty much lay low. We don't get all dressed up and go to dinner or anything like that. We really don't like being around a bunch of people.
That's fair.
So we love each other every day.
Yeah, us either, dude. We're like not sentimental kind of people. Like we just really don't do anything. So we might like go to dinner if we have like, again, we're trying to save money. So if we have a gift card or something, we might try to do something, but we never go on Valentine's Day. Like it's a fucking madhouse. People are, it's super busy. Like we don't like that. So same boat. Lame. We're both lame.
But it's
not
because we hate Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
We're both happily in love. It's just we're like, I definitely don't want to deal with the Valentine's Day crowds at any restaurant or anything like that.
Totally. What else? Have you been watching anything? You got an update?
Yes. So I have two things I want to share with you. I watched Chernobyl. So I think you mentioned this on a different on our last episode. You'd mentioned very lightly in passing, kind of like Chernobyl and blah, blah, blah. Then you just went on. You weren't talking about it. So when my parents were visiting, we were trying to figure out what to watch. And I was like, I've never seen this Chernobyl. Let's watch this. We watched it, finished it. Wow. 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 Incredible.
I just can't believe that you missed it. I can't believe you missed the Chernobyl craze, because when it was on, it was like such a big deal and everybody was watching it. And oh my God, it was incredible. So I'm so excited to hear your thoughts.
Yes.
Oh my God.
It was incredible. What an incredible story. The acting was insane. It was, I also love, and I know there was probably some, what do they say? Parts of the story are missing, right? Because you need to piece together the story from the information you have. I get it. And the reason I'm prefacing this is because I love movies and documentary type movies that teach me something about history.
Yeah.
Because I knew about that explosion. I mean, I knew there was a nuclear power plant explosion in Chernobyl. This is all I've known in my life. But to have all the details and the stories of the people and all the things I don't understand about how this happens and why and all of that. So fascinating. Excellent. If you haven't seen it yet, if you're like me and you haven't seen it yet, definitely go see it.
Yeah, I feel like it's the closest. We actually talked about this very briefly with BBK on their episode, I believe. Or the one that they were on for our podcast is like, it's like the closest thing to horror without being horror that I can think of. Like the horror, like there was just this horror element, this aspect, I don't know how to describe it, but God, it was like, oh, so right up my alley. And I feel like all of our alley because we love horror. It was like so scary. There was really scary moments.
Oh yeah. Terrifying. And some horribly grotesque things that very much rival anything I've seen in a horror movie.
Yeah, totally. Oh my God, I have chills just thinking about it. I need to do a rewatch. I'm so glad you got to watch it.
Yeah, it was.
Did everybody love it?
Everyone loved it. Yeah, everyone. Even Steve, he was all roped in. Like, because we didn't finish it that night, and so then the next night he's like, "Hey, you want to watch another episode of that?" Which is excellent that he does that.
Yeah,
and then I know he's really liked it. The only other thing I watched is I watched Magic Mike. So here's the thing. I've never seen Magic Mike. I've never read 50 Shades of Grey. The reason I'm saying this is I know at the time it was just this huge craze around these things. So I finally watched Magic Mike. We didn't know what to put on. And I always talk about how I've never seen it. So Steve's like, here you go. And the reason specifically is because people have said to me, it's a real amazing story. It's a touching story. It's a beautiful story. It's not just about strippers. You're going to be really surprised. And so I was like, okay, let's watch this. Okay. All right. I mean, I don't know. Okay. So I've said this before too. I think the sexiest thing, like I'm not really into strippers. Or going to like strip clubs, seeing a strip show. I think what would be more sexy is the guy comes out in his boxers or his underwear and starts putting on a very nice tailored suit. I think that would be sexy. Men well-dressed is sexy to me. So I'm not really into strippers. I did think though it was cool to see Channing Tatum, dance because he really was a dancer. So it was cool. I love hip hop dancing. And I mean, I see the story, because there was that element of drugs and stuff, but
I feel like, I don't know. I've never heard anybody be like, it's an amazing, wonderful, like,
You're going to cry. I've had people tell me I was going to cry.
Really? Okay. Well, I don't know about that. I remember being pleasantly surprised because I didn't think that there would be a story, and there kind of was one. And so it was like, I think that was, I don't know, that was my reaction. I feel like other people's is like, oh yeah, it's not just a, hour and a half long movie of men dancing, like there's some substance there. And I remember liking it, but it's been a long time since I've seen it.
Yeah, I didn't hate it, but I think maybe I went in with too much expectation that it was going to be this tearjerker. And I was like, no.
No.
It was fine. It was fun. It was cute.
Yeah.
How about you?
I got nothing. I got nothing for you because this week has been like totally insane at my day job. I have done nothing. The only thing that we're watching is The Last of Us. So, which they actually, well, you know, this will come out way later, but I didn't even know. Jade told me this morning that they released the new episode early because of the Super Bowl. Did you guys already watch it?
No, we haven't seen it.
Okay. We're going to probably watch it tonight. So.
Oh, let's see. Okay. I can't wait. Maybe we will watch it tonight too. All right. I do also want to say that review we read on the last episode, Corey joined our Discord server and it was so much fun to have. We just, again, if you like us and you want to drop us a review, I just want to say, and you want to come into our Discord server and engage with us, I feel like giddy when people do that. It's so much fun.
I do too. I'm always like so excited. I was like going into a meeting when they got on the first time. And so I like sent like 2 messages. I was like, oh, so glad to have you here. And then I was like in meetings for the next 8 hours, basically.
We were
like,
popping off.
Yeah, I was like, okay, bye. But yeah, I kept seeing the notifications come through on my phone. I'm like, wow, there is some conversation happening in there that I am missing right now. But yeah, definitely join us over there. And there's the follow-up. If you listen to the last episode, that person did find and join us and talk to us. So
yes, there we go.
Happy ending. I mean, it's not the end, but anyway. Okay, so let's get into Bones and All from 2022. So this movie was directed by Luca Guadagnino, who did the Suspiria remake in 2018. But they've also done a handful of other movies. The only other one that I named is Call Me By Your Name, because I think it's like the most popular of his other movies, but I've only seen the Suspiria remake, so. Then for cast, we have Taylor Russell plays Marin, Andre Holland plays Marin's father, Mark Rylance plays Sully, Timothée Chalamet plays Lee, Anna Cobb plays Kayla. Shockingly, David Gordon Green, the director of Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends, was Brad.
Oh.
The human, which I won't explain right now.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yes.
We're not, in spoiler territory yet. And then we have, but I just thought that was weird. I was like, oh, okay, that was him. Weird. Michael Stolberg played Jake, who's the guy with him, I think. And then we have Chloe Sevigny. Yeah. Oh, God, I always struggle with this name. Savini?
Isn't Sevigny?
Yeah, probably. Played Janelle.
But her.
Yeah.
She's
that
good.
Person.
Yeah. She's great.
As far
I really
as
like her in everything she does.
I like her too. Yeah, she's good. IMDb gave it a 6.9 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes gives it an 82%, and Letterboxd gave it a 3.7, which was interesting and different. I was surprised to see Rotten Tomatoes so much higher, but I wonder if that's not because of the critic score being higher than like the audience score.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, so the budget, it was 16 to 20 million, and box office says 14.5 million. Pretty low, but I don't know if they did like a limited theater release or something. It seems like it wasn't in theaters for a long time. But anyway, okay, that's what we got. Any thoughts, comments before I get into the 2 minutes with Tawny and I spoil the shit out of this movie?
Well, I mean, I have thoughts and comments, but not about the stats.
Okay, so let's jump into it. Turn back now if you don't want this spoiled. You can rent this now on Amazon, so just so you're aware. On Marin's 18th birthday, her father abandons her because he can't deal with her habit of eating people. She begins a journey to Minnesota to visit her mother, who has been absent since she was a child. While waiting for a bus in Ohio, she is approached by an older, eccentric man named Sully. He explains he's an eater too and that he could smell her from far away and could tell that she hadn't fed in a long time. He takes her back to the house he's staying in. He could smell the owner of the home was dying and is waiting for her death so he can feed. They both feed on the woman, and he tells Marin that he has a code not to eat other eaters, and that as she gets older, she'll need to feed more often. He shows her a braid of hair he's compiled of all of his victims and wants to stick together with Marin, but she runs away to continue her search of her mother. In Indiana, she sniffs out another eater, Lee, after he's fed on a man. They take his truck and stay at his home for the night, the victim. Lee offers to drive her to see her mother, and the two fall in love road tripping to Minnesota. On the way, they stop in Lee's hometown, where we learn something happened to his father and that he's avoiding the police. Somewhere later, they run into another couple of eaters who share some beer with them. One of them says that eating someone bones and all is a rite of passage, and we learn that the other is an eater by choice. Marin and Lee run away from them once they pass out. Marin finds her mother in a psychiatric hospital. She's left a letter for her, explaining that she was an eater too, and that Marin is better off dead than being a monster. She's eaten her own arms off and tries to kill Marin. Lee and Marin fight, and she runs away. A very sad Lee returns home to Kentucky, and Sully approaches Marin, who he's been stalking since Ohio. He wants to be companions with Marin, but Marin rejects him, which sets him off. But then he leaves her. Eventually, Marin makes her way back to Kentucky to see Lee, and he tells her the truth of what happened with his father. He was also an eater and had attacked him and his sister. He tied him up and after a few days ate him, which made him feel great. He experiences it as a big high, but he sees himself as a monster for doing this. Marin accepts him and understands that he was just protecting his family. The two decide to settle down in Michigan, but after a little bit of peace, Sully breaks into their apartment and attacks Marin. Lee comes home and kills Sully, but receives a fatal stab in the chest. Marin feeds on Sully as he dies and tries to get Lee to the hospital, but Lee knows that he will die and asks Marin to eat him, which she does. She finds Lee's sister's hair in Sully's braid, and then we see an empty shot of the apartment. The final shot shows the two sitting on a hill from an earlier scene. And the end. I'm so fucking excited to hear about what you thought about this movie. But more than that, I'm so excited to hear about what your, read on it was. So, okay. Felicia, tell me. How did you feel?
Well, first, I'm feeling like maybe horror romance isn't my favorite genre.
Okay.
So I thought it was very beautiful, visually beautiful. I thought the acting was great. I fell in love with the new boy. I love him. What's his name again?
Timothy Chalamet, I think.
I love him. I always love him in movies, but I think I just never, he was in so much of the movie. I think the last movie I saw him in was Up, but he was a character, not Up. I'm sorry.
I was like,
that's definitely not what he was saying. Don't Look Up.
Oh, yeah.
But it was a smaller character. So he was, the big main character in this, and just love him. Everything he did, I was just so captured by him. I also loved our main girl. The acting was all phenomenal. It just feels so dragged out, I think and I felt like that about Warm Bodies too, that it's just long. But on the other side, it felt very real, as though you were experiencing it. This is how your days would feel, just traveling around in this type of lifestyle.
Yeah.
So I was giving it that, but I did find myself feeling the same way during Warm Bodies, where I was just starting to get distracted, and then I'd have to re-engage. I loved the take on cannibalism. And so they're not zombies, they're just people, but they have this craving. I loved that. I thought that's what this horror romance genre is doing. It's taking different takes on things that we're familiar with. I really enjoyed that. So that's my overall comment about it so far.
didn't love it, basically.
I mean, I liked it. I do feel like I want to see it again. I was watching it, no one wanted to watch it with me. So I was kind of watching it on my own. I had to keep pausing it. I believe I watched it because you told me to try to watch it early and let it sit with you. So I believed I watched it while my parents were here, and nobody wanted to watch that with me. So it was kind of chaotic around. So maybe, and I did feel kind of like an urgency, like I want to finish this movie and no one wants to watch it with me. So I would like to give it another chance. But yeah, at times I felt like it lulled and I was a little bored, but I was intrigued enough to keep watching.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Just really beautiful movie. That's the first thing that strikes me. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
The way it was filmed. I liked their love story too because it seemed so real.
Yeah. I agree. I do think that the movie has like a slice of life feel that I don't love. I don't love that like really in anything. I like for there to be an arc, and I think there is one in this movie, so I don't think it's lacking that, but it has that feel where it's like you're just popping in to see a part of these people's lives and then you're fucking out, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know, I don't love that. I feel really split. I feel like kind of like you do for different reasons though. Like I agree that I feel like I liked the take on it. I really liked this world and the idea of these people and what that created. And I did love the blending of genres. Like it was like a drama, horror, romance thing.
Yeah.
So weird and different. And I really liked that. But there's some other stuff that I didn't love. And it's like, I didn't really like her acting. It's just, there was like nothing. We got like nothing from her until like towards the end. And then she did get kind of like upset and angry after the visit to her mom's. But like, I don't know. She wasn't giving me a whole lot of face, you know? And I was like,
she really wasn't.
I just wish, there was. And I feel less like that with Timothée Chalamet. Like I wish he had also like been a little bit more. Because Sully, I feel like to me, Sully like emerged as this like insanely interesting, dynamic character that I was like, I wanted to know, like I was so much more curious about him than I was like the two leads. And I also, something that I've noticed now watching a few of these movies, these romance movies this month, I don't think I think it's really hard to have people fall in love on screen in a very believable way. I just wish there was like more romance in romance movies. And that probably comes from reading romance books. Like, I think it's harder to take that and put it on screen. Yeah. But I was like, I wish there was just a little bit more. I wish there were like more moments of them connecting and like reasons for them to love each other. I don't know what that looks like. Maybe it's like, I don't know. I didn't hate it, but I just wish there had been more. I wish they had given us more of that in this movie, but I feel that way about Warm Bodies too, you know? Like, I want to see more of that relationship develop. So that, and then the ending really just like, as soon as we got to it, something was so weird to me. Like, I was like, this just it just didn't sit right. So, and I have some theories about why that is, but that's kind of how I feel overall. It's like, I want to say that I really loved it. Like, I feel like there were some really great things about it, but there was just like a few things that just I couldn't reconcile. And so I'm on the fence. Maybe we'll sway each other one way or the other. I don't know as we go, but
that was so well said because you hit the nail on the head. In Warm Bodies, that love connection wasn't built up enough. In this one, same thing. I liked it in the beginning where you could tell that she was shy. There was kind of that, like, she was attracted to him sort of thing. And I'm like, okay, I like this. This is why I like coming of age movies. I love those types of movies because you feel that it's so real. And books do a really good job of this, of that like nervousness and that real strong, not necessarily lust, but infatuation and that giddiness and that excitement. And so I think, and people might roll their eyes at this, but you can't deny it. Lots of people love The Notebook. And I think they do really good in that movie. Rachel McAdams and Ryan Gosling building that relationship.
Totally.
It's so exciting. And so movies do that really well. There's some movies that do that really well. And that's totally what was missing, because then all of a sudden they were just traveling together. I didn't get that he really liked her that much. He liked having the companion.
Yeah.
And, and then then she bails. And then when she comes back and they're like happily living together, I just didn't buy it. And to me, it felt more like they liked each other, and they get along, and they're both the same type of person.
Right.
So now let's build a life together. But they definitely were like, I love you and this and that, but I didn't feel it. I agree with you. And she didn't give a lot as well. She didn't seem scared very often. She didn't seem, now it didn't take me out of it. I didn't think she was unbelievable. She just wasn't very dynamic.
Totally. I agree. It didn't take me out of it either, but I just was like, I think especially when I just feel like the parts with Sully, honestly, were like the best parts.
Creepy.
That guy was so fucking good.
Yeah, he was good.
But I agree with your assessment. And I've seen other people criticize also like the lack of chemistry between the two leads. And I think that is probably also the case. It did seem like he didn't like her the way that she liked him, at least until they had that apartment together. And then I was like, I guess they are, I don't know. It was weird. I wish there had been more romance in this horror romance movie. And I was like, I just thought that's where we were going because it was really touted as that. And the director kept telling people this is a love story. And I just I wanted more of that,
I thought the horror was good. Like when they were eating the bodies and you could see the skin.
Yeah.
It wasn't, and the use of blood and just so much blood on everything. And it was gross, but it wasn't even like they did a whole ton of that either.
No, I feel like it was actually really not very gory. The moments
where it was gory, it was well done.
Yeah.
But so you're going to give me more romance. You're going to give me more gore. Like, can you not do the romance building because it's a blood fest? Or, let's do this.
Yeah. Okay, so now I want to know from you, because I'm just curious to know what your read on the themes and kind of what it was trying to say or where it was trying to go, and then we can kind of get into some of the stuff that I found about it.
Okay, cool. Theme-wise, definitely I felt that coming of age piece of it, coming of age, having to go out on your own, finding love, relationships, complicated relationships. I wondered if there was something around, I don't even know to say this, but it was like they were people that were cannibals. They had this dark urge, but they were likable, lovable people. So something around people having that dark part of them being a little stronger, that it's something that they have to struggle with. But I guess what I'm trying to say is seeing people that have these dark passengers within them, as people and not monsters. But then what are we saying then? Are these people that commit murders? Maybe it's that. Maybe it's not like serial killer level, but just regular people that have done bad things, and seeing them as humans and not monsters. Because you definitely, towards the end, you're like, oh my goodness, when are they going to eat? Who are they going to eat? You know what I mean? And they struggle with it within themselves, having to nourish themselves, and not wanting to, trying to live the majority of their days just eating regular food and things like that, but then having to do that. So I was wondering if there was a theme around that. And then the last thing I'll say was just the end. I was wondering if she had bones and all, if she ate him bones and all.
I think that's the implication. Yeah.
Okay. That's what I thought, because they were saying that's like the ultimate rush. It's the ultimate feeling. And it was the man she loved. And I was wondering, but they didn't really, I guess I assumed it, but okay.
Yeah, I didn't. I feel like I was confused by the end, like we got to the end and I literally was like, I don't know what my problem was, but I was like, oh, he survived when they showed them on the hill. I'm like, oh, so he survived? And Jade was like, no, I don't think so. I think this is from earlier. And I was like, okay, got it. And I was like confused about what that meant. So I can't take credit for this. But once I was like looking it up and reading, I think the implication is supposed to be that, yes, she does eat him, bones and all, because he asks her to. And then he becomes a part of her, basically. So they will never be apart anymore because she has consumed him. And that's kind of what the last shot is showing, whether it's a metaphor, the shot itself, or it is like just going back to that time, that memory of them on the hill. That was, I think, supposed to be what you were supposed to walk away from.
Oh, I buy that, especially because the last scene when they were on the hill, they had, I mean, presumably just had sex. They were naked and holding each other. And often that's said to be the way, which it is, guys. It's the only way. There's no cannibalism, all right? So currently, the way to be the closest possible to your partner is through sex. Right. And that merging of bodies, I guess, is what they say a lot about sex, the merging of bodies. So now this is like just next level merging of bodies. Just like literal merging of bodies.
Interesting. Yeah. So that was kind of what I found on it. I feel like when I was watching it, really the only one that I picked up on was addiction. And I went fucking hard into the addiction. Like,
good one.
I had like theories at several different moments about where I thought we were going that I was completely wrong, which we can talk about in a minute. But I found a video that talked about the themes, and they were like, there's a lot that you could see in this movie. And this person doing the video, I'm sorry, I don't remember the name, but I'll post it in our Discord. They basically said that the cannibalism in this movie is a metaphor for anything that society would other you for, or that would isolate you. So it's like, it could be a ton of shit. Like, you could read it for anything. You know, I've seen some articles that say it's like a metaphor for queerness. And a couple of other things that back that up is, you know, you see them, both of them have moments where they seem to be attracted to members of the same gender, but they're also attracted to each other. So like, and then with the backdrop of the 80s, where that like was super frowned upon, like that I think is interesting and has a lot of that. But there's also like the addiction piece of things.
Can I say something about that othering really quick? So when I first started to talk and I was humming and hawing, trying to figure out how I wanted to say this, and I was saying the dark passenger and everything, I almost said, and I have it in my notes, othering of people, the othering of people. Mm-hmm. But I paused because what is that? What are we saying then about people who are othered? Because they technically are not, they're killing people. Yeah. Right. They're savagely killing people. So I paused and I was like, I don't understand if that is what we're saying about people who are othered, because usually people are othered just because they're different, right? And people other people because they don't understand, which I get that piece of it. But if I was someone who was like felt othered, like I belonged to a group of people that were othered, I don't think I would want to be represented by cannibals. You know what I mean?
Right.
So then that's where I thought, oh, maybe it's how we treat people who, have tendencies to, like, I don't know, want to commit violence or drug addiction. I can totally see that now that you mentioned it. But anyways, I just wanted to share that.
Yeah. Something else that Jade thought while we were watching it is he was like, I feel like this could be a metaphor for poverty a little bit. Like you're in it, and it's really hard to get out, and the other people that you're in it with are in poverty too. And so that's like your community. That's part of the community that you're a part of, and it's just hard to get out of it. And I thought that was interesting. And I think what seems to be interesting is that you could read whatever you want in it, you know?
Yeah.
But I think, like you're saying with the queer metaphor, it doesn't fit exactly. Like I don't think that was the intent to be like, to basically say that that's a bad thing because these people are killing people, you know?
Yeah, it was just the horror version of it, right?
Right.
Like, we're going to have cannibals representing, you know, all of these different things. Yeah, that makes sense.
It's just like
I was just curious if that was one. I was thinking if that was one of the metaphors, was there a backlash from any community around it? Because we've seen that in other horror movies where maybe the main character is, you know, from whether their race or if they're from the LGBTQ plus community, and that there's a backlash of like, hey, we don't want to be represented by this character. So I was wondering if there was anything like that.
I didn't find anything, but I also didn't look super hard into that. So it's definitely possible. I just don't know. I didn't find anything specifically on it. But I could totally see that.
I'm excited to hear about your addiction take, though, because this definitely, you know, addiction and mental health, I guess, because the mother was in the mental institution and but then again, I don't want to compare people that have, you know, mental health issues, which we all do in some aspect, with cannibals. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's so hard to draw these parallels. But anyway.
Yeah. I think part of the beauty of this movie too is just that, these people are doing like bad things, but it's not that they feel zero remorse either. You know, like they obviously feel conflicted about what they're doing and they don't really want to be doing it, but they have to do it for their survival. And so I think that sounds like
drug addiction or alcoholism or something like that.
Or even like poverty, you know, like people who are in poverty do things that they know they shouldn't, right? Just to survive. Stealing. I mean, you see her stealing in the store, right?
Yeah, you're right.
So who knows? But I have a couple of quotes from the director that are in a different direction, and then I think we can come back to the addiction piece. So Guadagnino said that Bones and All is a very romantic story about the impossibility of love and yet the need for it, even in extreme circumstances.
Oh, well, that's easy. I could totally see that.
Yeah, I feel like that's what you were just talking about. It's like, it is extreme, you know? We put these characters in extreme situations. Here's something else. He said, in an interview with Deadline, he explained the connection between love and cannibalism, saying that he had never read the Bones and All script as a horror movie. He said, I love you and want to eat you. It's almost as bananas as that. He says, it's a part of our way of expressing our deep passion for something. I love you to death. I will eat you because I love you so much. Or the metaphor of the wafer in the Catholic Church. It's the metaphors that make the idea of terminal consumption reflecting the intensity of our passion.
Oh, shit. I just got cold chills. That's so good. Yeah, how we eat it in the Catholic Church, they eat Jesus's flesh. Mm-hmm. It's like the ultimate. Well, he said, here.
I knew you would like this. I put this in for
you. And this is my quoting Jesus. Here, take it, eat it.
Here.
That's me.
That's what he said.
That's what he said. Oh,
here, take it, eat
it. Yeah, take it, eat it. I love this take on it. And that matches a lot too with what we were talking about with the ending and like the union of bodies. It is, I even think of like when I don't know if it can't be just me. When something is so cute, oh, it's so cute, I want to bite it.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Right? Why? Why would I say that? Why would I want to bite it? And ultimately I wouldn't bite it. That's gross. But that is the feeling that comes.
Yeah, I do the same thing with Lilia a lot, but I squeeze her. I go, I want to squeeze you to death.
Yeah.
I tell her that.
Oh my gosh.
That's actually like a thing. There's like a phenomenon. I don't remember what it's called, but it's like we as humans feel that when we see something cute, it makes us like, ugh, like we want to eat or bite or like hurt it or something. Like there's this weird, I don't know. I'll have to look it up, but.
You know what? That just gives you a whole nother take of that book and movie of Mice and Men. If anyone's read it, I won't say anything then. Now,
okay.
Maybe just want to go.
I can't remember.
It or watch it.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So to go back to the addiction thing, I mean, like I don't have like a ton. I just have my own thoughts about it. I don't have anything else as far as like a theme. So I don't know if that's where we want to go next.
Yeah. Let's just. I think that the eating, the cannibalism and love is so curious. I would love to research that more, but I
Yeah.
really want to hear the addiction because that's another thing that definitely feels spot on for this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like the only thing that I personally, when I was watching it, kind of picked up on. But I really tunnel visioned on this because remember when they meet up with those eaters and they drink into the night, and basically one of those guys says, he's talking about Lee, and he says, I know an addict when I see one. But he is also an eater.
Yeah.
So I really focused on that, and I created this whole idea of how I thought the movie was going to go based on that one interaction. Because I was like, what a weird thing to say. He seems like he's not referencing eating people, because he also eats people.
Yeah.
So he's not lumping himself in with people with addiction. And so what I thought, oh, I created this whole other story. I was like, Lee is an eater who eats other eaters. And if you eat other eaters, you get like superpowers, or it feels way different, or it feels like there's a high. Because the first time he's telling her about his experience eating someone, he explains that as a high.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't get the impression from other people that was the case. And so I thought maybe the first time he ate someone, it was an eater, and it gives you more of a high, makes you more powerful, something. That's the addiction. So he's addicted to eating eaters, because also earlier Sully is like, I vow not to eat other eaters, and you should too, right?
Yes, yes.
So that's where I thought we were going, and what I thought was gonna like unravel their relationship. So at some point later, when they're road tripping, he's like, oh, those guys said that we should take 5 days of water in case our car breaks down. And again, in that moment, I went, oh shit, they're going to break down and he's going to eat her. Because he's an addict and there's like no one else around and he's going to want to survive and he's going to eat her. Okay, that didn't happen. Then, at the very end, when they attack Sully and they kill him and she's about to eat him, I was like, oh no. Again, the snap moment in my brain. Oh no. She's about to eat Sully and become an addict also, and this is an addiction movie, and I'm about to watch somebody descend into addiction, and Lee will have like gotten her into this, and now they're going to be like addicts together, and they're going to eat other eaters. Again, not where we went. Like, that's not what the movie was trying to say at all. But I feel like they're interesting ideas, and I actually feel like because I had all those thoughts, I kind of am sad that nothing more happened with that. Like, I didn't know what that was supposed to mean then. If he wasn't, like, I don't know. I just felt like there was so much more there that just didn't go anywhere. And I don't know if I just misread it or what.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of talk about the high. I mean, because Lee is Timothy, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Lee mentions how he had a rush after he ate his dad. And then those other guys, definitely the one that chose to be an eater. I mean, that makes sense because they were scared of these guys. And then he chased them down when they were driving away in their truck. And they did make that big point of, I don't eat eaters, you don't eat eaters. So that was in my head. And so when they met those other two guys that they were sleeping with in the field, I thought, oh no, these are eaters that are going to eat eaters, because
right, that's
that
what I
was
thought too.
Implanted. And then he did run after him. So I felt validated. I was like, oh yeah, he was going to eat him. But then that was that. And then Sully, when they killed him, I thought they're going to eat him because you don't eat eaters. No. Okay. So they did talk about that high. So was the high more that could it be comparable to the rush or the high of love when you're in love?
I don't know.
But I mean, there just wasn't so much of that either.
Right. I don't know. And I didn't really get the impression that like Marin felt that way. I don't know. I mean, we never really get to hear her inner voice about what it's like to eat someone. She feels like she's doing it out of like survival, not because it gives her a high, and they're not mutually exclusive, but I don't remember.
She never ate someone and then went, oh, you didn't see any sort of a thing like she felt like a rush or a high from it.
Yeah, not that I remember. And I don't remember her saying anything like, oh, me too. I remember there's no comment about I also felt high or anything. So that was weird. I don't know. I just thought that was going to amount to a lot more than it did. And then I thought also, oh, it's going to be revealed that Sully actually did eat other eaters, and those are the braids, and he just lied, you know?
Mm-hmm.
No, that's also not what happened.
As soon as I saw the blonde hair in there, I was like, oh, is that his sister? I don't remember what her little hair tie looked like. But I'm like, oh, I bet that was a sister. And so then I was like, oh my God. And so then he sees it, Lee sees it and he goes, I forgot what her name was. The sister. Kayla. He goes, you got Kayla. And then that was that. I just thought it was going to be, because I was like, oh, I was working myself up. I'm like, oh my God, look, oh no, they're going to find out. And they're just like, oh, blonde hair. Oh, I got Kayla. Oh, eat me.
Yeah.
Eat it. Here, eat it.
Eat me. Okay, let's talk about this, because this was like one of my bigger problems with the ending, is I was like, what? Why? First of all, I do think the reveal, beautifully done. Like, I knew immediately. I was like, that's Kayla's hair. And I don't know how they fucking did that, but they set me up, and I knew immediately.
And it was so gentle. I just knew, even though it wasn't in my face.
Yeah. It was really subtly done, I feel like. Mm-hmm. And so, but then you're like, oh shit, he got her. But then I was like, why? That doesn't make sense to me. Like, he said he doesn't eat people that don't die first. Like, maybe he was going after her to be like in revenge. But why the sister? I mean, it just felt so weird to me. Like, I was like, if he wanted to exact revenge, why wouldn't he try to kill Lee? That makes more sense. Marin met Kayla twice, probably. You know, like, the connection there is so, like, just nothing. I don't know. I couldn't get there, and I didn't understand. And right at the end of the movie, I just kept questioning, why would he have done that? Why would he have done that? That doesn't seem like within his character. And I know that he is like trying to get back at her and he's mad at her, but I couldn't figure it out. So here's something else that I found.
Can I mention one thing about that?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I thought the same thing. And the only thing I thought was maybe he was trying to destroy Lee emotionally, which would destroy their relationship. That's the only thing I thought. Because if he was just upset and irate and plummeting, and he would feel like his fault, self-loathing, all of that sort of thing, then it would damage her because this is her love, and it would also damage the relationship between them two. It could, depending. But I mean, that's risky. That's like, I'm banking that he's really going to go off the deep end. Right.
Well, but he seems like he's going to kill her, right? So he kills Kayla, and then he hunts down Marin and is about to, we think, kill her.
Is that what he's doing? He's just like licking her and lying on her for like a really long time.
Yeah, I feel like it's not totally clear. Because she does say something about like, I'm with Lee now. And he gets angry. He's like, that's not what I want, basically. I don't remember his exact words, but I took that to mean that he doesn't want her sexually.
Oh.
And he just wants her as a companion. I mean, like, I definitely think they're very close because he is obsessed with her. He's stalking her, following her. He wants her to be around. He feels like she owes him because he took her in and taught her some things and they ate together. Like, he feels entitled to her as a human being. Again, this is some of the most interesting things for me in this movie. Like, this dynamic with Sully, really interesting. I feel like juicy stuff. But then, so I thought, so that's what I got from that scene, is he didn't want her sexually. He just wanted her as a companion, but he was so angry at her for like rejecting him that he was going to kill her.
Okay. So see, I thought he wanted her as a companion, and he did want her sexually. And because he was on her and she was like, I'm with him now. It's almost like, it was a defense mechanism. Like, that's not what I want, because she rejected him.
Oh, maybe.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
And so he was like, whoa, almost, as a defense mechanism.
Yeah, I think that's totally.
But the way he was like grinding on her and rubbing all over her is like, and maybe even with that sexual urge that he had, he was already feeling like bad about it. You know what I mean? And if she's like calling him out, you pervert. No, I'm not interested in you for that.
Totally.
Even though he was, but I don't know.
In this video that I'll post in our Discord, this guy also talks about how there's like a balance in the movie where we're trying to, walk this line with the cannibalism. And he felt like at the end, it like gets thrown off kilter a little bit. Like the balance of this isn't quite right because in the very end, Timothy, I keep saying Timothy, you set me up for this. Lee is asking her to eat him, but we've been shown that she doesn't really feel great about eating people. So asking her to do this is kind of shitty because she's probably not going to feel great about the fact that she ate him. So he's like making her do something that she doesn't want to do, which doesn't seem to like, I don't know, fit with the rest of the movie and where we were going. And I think that's true. And I think maybe that's what I didn't like. I couldn't articulate it. But there were a few things that I just were like, this is fucking weird right at the end. And then he said that he saw it in theaters and he was like, the weirdest phenomenon happened right as we get to the climax of the movie. Everybody laughed. There was a lot of laughing in the theater.
When she ate him?
Yeah. Like this whole thing, like the attack of Sully, the, him dying, her eating him. And then he was like, and then the credits rolled and somebody in the theater yelled like, who came up with this disturbing horse shit or something like that? And he was like, I think the reason why people laughed is similar to why people laugh in a horror movie, because you're kind of like overwhelmed by this. And it's horror, but it's like a little bit different. In this movie, you're hit with like overwhelming tragedy. And he was like, the addition on top of Lee dying, right, before her eyes, and her eating him, on top of that, we're also just thrown in this like, oh, and your sister's dead. And it feels like fucking mean, kind of, from like the movie.
Yeah.
And again, this is something that I think I felt, but I couldn't articulate until I listened to this other person talk about it. I was like, that's exactly how I felt about the end is, why? Why would you put this in here? It doesn't seem to make sense to me with the character. And it does feel like it's just thrown in to be like extra fucking sad at the end. Now she's totally alone. She has no one. Her dad's gone. Her mom's gone. Her boyfriend, she had to eat him. It was his last request, And then Kayla, the only other person who she might have like a familial contact with, also dead. And so I was like, yeah, I feel fucking bad. Like it wasn't a happy ending to the movie, but again, I think you're supposed to leave feeling hopeful with that last shot of them on the hill. I don't know. It just was weird. I don't know.
I felt the exact same way. That was perfectly said. It was hopeless.
Yeah.
Because even that last shot, to me, when I saw it, was like, what once was. And what causes us pain is worry about the future and regret and sorrow about the past. And I saw like once was how when their relationship was beautiful and budding, and that's gone.
Yeah.
So it didn't feel hopeful to me at all. I felt the exact same way you did. Who's she going to go to now? Where is she going to go? She's going to travel around. I guess she carries him with her because she ate his bones and everything.
Right, right. They are together, I guess.
She's going to go to jail, dude. There's no way they were going to clean up that much blood, and they already had that apartment in their name. So true crime started to kick in. First of all, when they started killing her, and I was like, did they shut the door? I don't know if they shut the front door. There's blood everywhere. She ate him. Okay, so that body's gone, but still the amount of blood. Did she eat the other guy too? She must have. Was she to drag the body? What is she going to do? Or is she going to leave the body? She's on the lease for that apartment. So
right.
They're going to be on the hunt. Unless she just drank up all the blood and ate up all the bones and all for all these dead people. Oh, God, she must have been full.
I mean, yeah, I think I also was thinking Felicia's going to be going true crime. Because I did too. I was also like, how are you going to get away? Like, you just killed somebody in your apartment. But I think the insinuation is kind of that it was easier to like change your name and get away with this, in the 80s because they moved around a bunch, got away with it. Yeah,
that's true. That's true.
Yeah. But in the same video, the last theme that I want to hit on that I feel like this guy posits, and I feel like is probably the best one in my opinion, is the theme of acceptance. So throughout the entire movie, you're watching these people struggle with accepting themselves because they have to do this for survival. But also it's like a theme of Marin's. Like you see that her like parents don't accept her unconditionally. And then she meets like Sully, who has conditions kind of on her, like the acceptance of her. But then she meets Lee, and Lee is accepting of her like completely. There's like no questions asked, no entitlement to her, whatever. He's just like, you are who you are, this is who I am, and that's the acceptance. But then you see that flip when he finally confesses to her what he did to his father, and she accepts him fully. And that's where the love finally seems to come together, and they have unconditional love. And so I thought that was good. I feel like that's a really interesting overarching theme that I feel like is the best, is the acceptance.
Yeah, that's nicely said. Yeah, because even when he accepts her, he doesn't accept himself. He's really struggling with all of that.
But once they both are able to accept themselves and each other, then they're able to like settle down. But this is where he talks about that balance is weird again, right? Because then it's kind of insinuated that they stop eating people, and that works against the acceptance. It's like, now you're not accepting, but you're living happily. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, that's hard. But on the other hand, are you accepting who you are, that I have this drive to eat people, but I'm really trying not to do that because I'm taking someone else's life. Mm-hmm. So even though I understand that this is who I am, I'm going to try not to act on it because that is interfering with someone else's health, life, well-being, and happiness. And that's not fair for my own satisfaction and my own urges.
Yeah.
Can't ruin somebody else's life just because of my own urges.
Right. Totally. I wondered, why didn't they just do what Sully was doing? Find people who were dying and feed on them once they're dead. That seems like the most, ethical, moral way to do this.
Because they're already going.
Yeah.
Ugh. But, I mean, they don't touch on this, but like people are dying of disease and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Guess, right?
Would that affect you badly? Probably.
I think that's the majority of dying people you're going to find. I mean, I guess there's some gunshot wounds and different things like that, but I just feel like a lot of people, especially because I popped into my head, when you go into the hospitals but these people who are dying a lot of time have disease.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about, I feel like we have to hit on the scary scenes in this movie.
Okay.
Like, Sully was so fucking scary as in a very weird way that I've never experienced.
He's very unhinged. That's what made him scary, is like he was kind. Yeah. But there was this very unpredictable, and he was so unpredictable. Because then like when they were talking by the van and he was just like, no, I just want to help you out, blah, blah, blah. I felt like we had a connection. Then he's like, fuck you. He gets all fucking loses his top. That is scary. So in the very final scene, when he's just talking to her and like rubbing on her, you're just holding your breath. You're like, what is he going to do? Is he going to jab this into her? Is he going to bite her? You just don't even know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think that was the scariest scene for me, is the one by the van where he's like, he just goes off on her. I like physically reacted. I was scared. I thought he was gonna stab her at one point, because he like kind of reached into his van and I thought he was gonna kill her right then and there in the street. Like, exactly, because he's unpredictable. You have no idea what he's gonna do, but he did seem so kind. That first interaction with him, I kind of was like, well, why did she leave him? He seemed like he was nice and like willing to help. Obviously, there is this element of like, it's creepy and weird, but you're also kind of like, I don't know anybody else who's in the same boat as me. So like, why wouldn't I stick around with this person who's going to teach me the ropes? But there was enough like weirdness. But that second interaction by the van, I was like, oh, fuck, no. This guy, he has been like following her for so long. The moment she's not with Lee anymore, he pounces. Like, that is terrifying. That is like some true stalker shit. Oh, God.
The scene that burns into my head, and I think it was just the way it was filmed, and the atmosphere and the energy of it is when she first goes with him to that house that he's living. And it's just dark and grimy. And he's feeding. And then he kind of walks by. He's like, is he in his underwear? I believe so, right? And he's covered in blood. And then he goes and takes a shower, just going about the day. But the energy was so uneasy and dark. I just had that like seared into my mind. And I thought the same thing. I'm like, maybe she just lives there and he helps her eat. But then there was that really unsafe, scary feeling.
Yes. Dude, for me, it was the hair. I mean, obviously, but that scene, something about the way this scene was shot, I agree. Same thing. There was just something so fucking unnerving.
Serial killer level. It's like you've entered, even though he's not presenting himself that way, right?
Yeah. But for some reason, yeah, but it was just, it sounds like it should be fucking creepy, but it was like creepy on a different and weird higher level than even what you think it should be. You know what I mean? Like I was like, oh, and when they touch it and like the sound, because you get like the sound of the hair kind of, God, this got burned into my brain. And it's the same thing because he's in his underwear, like bloody down the front, like holding this like long chain of hair of his victims and making her hold it. But again, you're kind of like, how scary is this? He doesn't actually kill people. He just waits for them to die and eats them. So like, it almost feels like, yeah, you're like constantly doing this walk with Sully where you're like, is he like a cool dude? And he's just eccentric because he lives on the fringes of society because he's an eater. Like, of course you'd be a little eccentric. Sure. You know, I was willing to forgive that a little bit. Or is he a fucking crazy person? Like, this is so like, I don't know. It was so good. I feel like they just did such an amazing job. And this actor.
So good. I think you just made a little spark in my head. This is what it felt like to me, was like we've entered a serial killer. I'll just say serial killer's den. This is where it happens. And when he pulled out that hair, the mementos of his victims, even though he was saying he's honoring them, it almost reminded me of the mentality of a serial killer. If a serial killer was to explain to you why they do it, justify why they do what they do, this was the feeling for me from Sully. But then I knew he wasn't a serial killer. He's a cannibal. She's the same. They're all the same. So there's also this, well, maybe he is good and he's just making do and this is how he goes about it. And
yeah, and the hair, I almost wanted to be like, this isn't, I tried to even be like, this isn't that creepy, right? Because like he is like, if he doesn't kill his victims, he is like honoring them in some weird way where it's like he doesn't want to like just be a person who eats them and forgets about them and doesn't honor their sacrifice to be like nutrients for him, you know? Like, I don't know. Like people kind of do that with animals, right? You're like, thank you for this sustenance that you're providing me. And so that's how I felt about it at first. Like, but not at first, because both of those feelings are happening at the same time. You know, that's the beauty of it, is you're like waffling. You're like, is this nice? Or is this the fucking scariest thing I've ever seen?
Yeah, because when she gets there and she opens the bag at the end, she opens the bag and went, oh shit, there's the hair.
Yeah. And then those guys, not to move on too fast, but if you have other things to say about Sully, but those guys were so fucking scary. This is another thing I really loved about the movie is how scared they made me as a viewer of other eaters. I feel like they really did that well without a ton of exposition. Like it was just like, they were all, it's so weird to be a part of a community that you're scared of the other members of the community.
Yeah.
But that's was like
curious. That's really, without having to expand too much, I think everyone can agree that really goes for every community. Any community, a community, I'm putting in quotes, or groups of people, that there's these variances of where you have, people doing their best and people who are evil.
Totally.
And it's very scary.
And you never know who's who.
You never know who's who. And it's so curious that was also a scene that terrified me. Both of those scenes, the people in them, the scary people, were unpredictable. You didn't know if they were really just going to be nice or they were going to do something really terrible. And so you're just sitting there on bated breath on the edge of your seat, just waiting to know, where is this going?
That's really interesting. I bet that's part of the the magic of this movie is actually all of these people as eaters, because they're eaters, we as viewers are thrown way the fuck off, and all of them are unpredictable. That's how I felt about Lee too. I was like constantly not sure what the fuck Lee was gonna do.
Yep.
And I mean, same for Marin kinda, but like we know that she's our protagonist and we're following her, so I think that it happened less so for her. But every single one of them, you're like, this thing that these people have makes them unpredictable.
Yes.
And what a like scary just 2 hours to be like, I have no idea what's gonna happen, you know?
Oh, and terrifying when she went to visit her mom and she had eaten her own hands off. God,
yeah.
How disturbing. I think it would have been
rough.
a great ending to the movie if her mom ate her.
Okay.
Like that was the end.
I thought she was going to get her for a second for sure. I thought it was like.
But I guess then we couldn't have seen more of Lee. Well,
no, but it would have been like a weird full circle moment.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And then maybe her mom would have had one final rush, because when you eat an eater, I guess you get a big rush, and then Marin wouldn't have to go on, you know, but we wouldn't have gotten the rest of it, I guess.
Yeah.
One of my favorite scenes, it's probably just because you get to see Timothy's face up close for a really long time, was when they were at the circus. And I loved this because it was also very subtle. You just knew. And you didn't have to be told anything. Lee's looking around, and he glances at this booth, the guy doing a booth at a carnival, and he just glances at him, and then you can tell, okay, I'm going to act on this. Very light exchange. You can tell, okay, then that this man is gay and he's attracted to Lee, and Lee at first you think is just playing along so that he can get him, right? And then this whole dynamic, and then they're out in the cornfield, and Marin goes out to find him, like, what's going on? And they are having sex. And I wondered if this was also, like you'd mentioned, there's a blend, because even in the beginning, I'm a little Marin at the slumber party, there is this sexual tension between her and her friend, and then she puts her finger in her mouth and then bites her finger. And so here is this hunger? Is it hard to separate hunger of like wanting to eat flesh with the sexual hunger, the hunger of the body? Is it all just mixed together? So Lee needed this sexual connection with this man and ate him, or was Lee giving the man what he wanted in a loving way because he was going to take his life? And did it make it easier? Because the man didn't even know what was happening. So ultimately, the man was experiencing tremendous pleasure before he was killed. So I don't know. These are all the things that went in my, but I loved this whole sequence.
Yeah, I think it's also a possibility that Lee is bisexual and was also just engaging in that activity. And maybe it was also that he wanted to like kill that guy, not in a terrified state, but in a pleasurable state. Maybe that was like a little bit of mercy that he was trying to give him.
But I wondered, because Marin also had and it's totally fine. Yeah, maybe he was just bisexual, and that's great. But she also had that. And so I tried to think of the other eaters. Was there this sexual tension between, and then that's when I thought, I wonder if it's because of the hunger they feel. It feels also a lot, there's just a hunger for the human body.
Desire.
In every form. Whether I'm eating it or I'm having sex.
Totally. I think that's totally a possibility. Can I also just say, while we're talking about the scene, that flirting, I see this is what I feel like was missing between the two main leads. I was like, this flirting with this guy at the carnival, red hot. Okay, we need that.
Red hot.
I was like, give me more of this. This is a great interaction,
And then how they like zoomed right up Timothy's face when he's talking to him in his eyes, and they zoomed into the other guy's face, and it was like that uncomfortable.
Loved it.
Giddy. I was like jittery and giddy together. This was really fire hot. And that did not exist even once between our two main characters. Not once. Not even when they were kissing in the kitchen.
Totally. Yeah.
Maybe it should have been between those two and their adventure as eaters.
Yeah. I think that's that lack of chemistry kind of, coming through, because those two, just off the charts. Right?
Yeah, that was great. That was my favorite scene of the whole movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
I keep saying okay, like very judgmentally, and I don't mean it to sound like that. That's like the second time I've done it. Okay.
I just think because it made me feel things. And during this whole sequence, I was not bored. I was laser focused on what the acting was great, what was happening. I knew what he was going to do. And then the element of the sex and the sexuality and her walking up on that. And I was wondering, but you know what? Now that I mention it, I feel the movie does this a lot. I was like, what's going to happen when she sees? So obviously she's wondering, she's curious. She sees them having sex. Is that going to throw her off? Like, is that going to be a problem? No. Okay, I see his sister's hair. Oh my God. Is that going to be a problem? No. There was a lot of that, I feel, throughout.
Yeah. I totally see that now that you pointed it out as well.
And I get not everything could be a problem. My God, it was already a long movie. That it would have been too much. But something is, and that's what made me feel just like the everyday, just kind of, it's like if someone filmed me in my house. I mean, it wouldn't be exciting. I'm not a cannibal, but you get it. It's just kind of.
Yep, you're like, well, that's life.
Yeah, it's life. Say lovey.
Moving on. Okay, so I have a couple just interesting of the production of this. And then at the end, I think we could potentially go through the book changes because it is based on a book.
Okay.
And I wanted to group these all together so that we don't ruin it, so that people can skip over it. So I'll hit some of this production trivia. So Marin's birth certificate says that she was born in Menominee, I don't know if I'm saying that right, Wisconsin. Wisconsin was the home of famous cannibal and serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer. Wisconsin is also where Ed Gein was from.
Gein. Shut up. First of all, I didn't even know Jeffrey and I sound like that. Jeffrey Dahmer and Ed Gein were from the same place.
I guess so. Isn't that interesting? That was a nice little nod.
I got cold chills. That is a great nod. Is there something going on with Wisconsin? Because these people too, I love that. How they took these real people and weaved in this fantastical element and made it seem more than what it seems. Even though I get it. It's not. But that's cool.
Yeah, I liked it.
And they didn't tell us that. They didn't go, oh yeah, Jeffrey Dahmer was one of us too. Like they don't say that. They just, wow, that's cool.
Yeah. I thought, again, I was like, that's for Felicia.
Yeah.
Sometimes I put in trivia and I'm like, she's going to like this. Okay, so Jessica Harper, who played Barbara Kearns, the grandmother, is a horror film veteran. She starred in the original Suspiria from 1979.
Oh. Well, that's cool.
Yeah. And my last one is late in the film, when Marin and Lee are living together, Marin holds a copy of Clive Barker's novel Cabal in her hands. Similar to Bones and All, Cabal, which was later adapted into the film Nightbreed, is the story of unnoticed quote-unquote monsters existing in a prejudiced society and lashing out when discovered. Nice little Easter eggs there.
I like it.
Okay, so now let's talk about the book changes. And if you don't want to have the book spoiled, like, skip way ahead. But I thought this was really interesting.
Before you start, I just wanted to say, as I was watching this movie, I thought this would be, I think, a better book. I think this would be a good read. And the pacing of it felt like a novel.
Yeah, totally. And I think I also would be interested to read this. I don't know if I will. Jesus, I can't talk today. But there's significant changes. So I'll kind of tell you what they are and we'll see how you feel about it. So one of the main changes that's, I don't feel like huge, is the parents are swapped. So her mother is with her and abandons her. And she goes looking for her father. In the book, it reveals that Sully is actually her grandfather. So they are related.
Oh.
I don't think that comes maybe until the end. Marin, and in the book, Marin feels a desire to eat people that she feels emotionally close to. So that's why she like ate the babysitter when she was younger. People that she's had like crushes on. People that she, cares about. So in the end, it ends like this. I don't actually know if Sully is like a stalker in the book. That was unclear to me. I tried to figure it out, but I don't know if it's the same dynamic. But in the end, I read that if he is stalking her, Lee kills and eats Sully and then gets in bed with Marin. And it's alluded to that they have sex, I think, for the first time. But by the beginning of the next chapter, we learn that Marin eats Lee because she's so close to him, and kind of what we were talking about, like that merging of the bodies, like they finally have sex. And I think she can't control her urges and she consumes him. So by the end of the book, she eats him and she accepts her fate and then goes on to eat men who prey on women.
Shut the fuck up. That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So, first things you said, I thought, ew, I don't like that. I don't think I like that Sully is her grandfather. I mean, I like this weird dynamic of who he is now. And I think he's creepier because he's a stranger, in my opinion.
And I think in the book they don't know. I think she meets him later and then realizes. And anyway, keep going. But
that's it. The mom and the dad, I don't think that's a big deal. I think it's, I feel a little bit more emotional when it's the mom, because I'm a mom, and that whole maternal thing, that it's just, it was more emotional for me because she wanted to protect her daughter, just because I am a mom. So I liked the way it was in the movie versus if it was the opposite. Now, though, flip to the second shit you just shared. I love that. I wish they would have developed that way more. That let's like remove a whole bunch of the movie, like a whole bunch of scenes, and really focus on Marin and how she's struggling, where as she becomes more emotionally involved with people, she has this pull to eat them. And this is a battle for her because she wants to be close. We want to be loved. We want to have sex. We want to connect. We want to connect. That's a better way to say it. And this just humans want to connect. But she can't because she has the equal pull to eat them. That is such a cool storyline. And then so maybe this whole back and forth where he wants to have sex with her, he wants to be with her, she has to keep stopping him and saying no. Then they finally do it, and fucking overwhelming, she eats him. And then she figures out a way. Maybe Sully taught her, he eats people who are near dead. Maybe she's like, okay, eats people who are bad, kind of like a Dexter. Love it.
I know. I like this too. And also though, I think it's just interesting how I feel like the changes really flip the themes of the movie and the book. Like they just feel really kind of different. But one of the things that I picked up on watching the movie, I did wonder, is this a thing that's saying we hurt the people that we love the most, the people that we're close to, right? Because that does come up several times in the movie, right?
Yeah.
It's her parents, it's his parents, it's them to each other, both like physically by eating each other potentially, or just emotionally by leaving each other, abandoning each other. And so I wondered about that, and I feel like that's a lot more apparent in the book, right? Like if she's only desires to eat the people that she gets close to, that's definitely becomes conflated, those two things. And so I'm like, I am interested in this. I feel the same way. Like I actually think this would be a better ending, to be honest, than the movie. But I really like the dynamic between Sully and Marin in the movie. But I think that they could, I don't know. I feel like I want to mix them because I feel like that is, like for me, I feel like I also picked up on the entitlement of Sully as a theme, and how Lee didn't have those expectations of her, and no one wants to be like put in a box or made to do things or like make it feel like they're obligated. Thank you. And I felt like that was kind of a thing on dating, right? Like in relationships with people. And so he wanted something out of the relationship with her that he didn't get. And so he was like obsessed and stalked her and hurt her because of it. And I thought that was really interesting. And
I love this. I think they should have changed. They should change the ending because, first of all, I didn't even realize that Lee got stabbed. in the chaos. And I think what would have been really cool is, let's say they killed him and they ate him together. And there was that extra rush, because when you eat an eater, there was this extra rush, which then unbridled their, like, it really let all of her guards down, where she then has sex with him. And then that's just too much, and she eats him.
Combined.
It would have been quite a roller coaster. And it would have been such a bummer, because she finally gets what she wants, which is this ultimate closeness with someone. But she doesn't get what she wants, because she goes over the edge and she eats him and loses him ultimately. It would be a sad roller coaster, but I feel like it'd be a great ride.
And it would make sense, her like vendetta against men who prey on women too, right? Like she lost a lot due to this interaction that she had with somebody who preyed on her in some way. Yeah. And so that, she's going to continue to give it back. And I love revenge. So I'm here for that.
Because maybe she blames him, because if he hadn't come in and they hadn't killed him and then had to eat him, maybe she wouldn't have made the choices she did and would still be with Lee. Okay, there we go.
Fixed it.
Not
that it needs to be fixed. Or hey, take this back. Re-edit, please.
Can we just flop this ending? I think it would be great.
And also, just to be clear, that high of eating eaters, I totally made that up.
Oh, but yeah, I like it. It should be added.
You keep talking about it as if it is in the movie. I just want to be clear. I made that up. Okay.
Oh yeah, eating eaters. Yeah, it's amazing. They do get a rush from eating.
Yeah.
Then, because they don't explain, why don't you eat eaters? It's just because he says I don't eat eaters because we're all the same people. Is that why?
I think so. I think it was just like
ooh, I like that. But then the other guys are like, yeah, but you're missing out, because when you eat an eater, whoo. But that's not part of it, guys. So.
No, but it's not. It's made up in our heads over here. So, okay, that's all I got. You have any other notes?
I have no other notes.
Okay, let's rate it. You ready?
Yes, I am. All right, so I'm going to rate this movie a 3.25.
Ooh, okay.
I was thinking about it a lot, and I feel the same about Warm Bodies. I mean, I feel this movie had a lot more beautiful, just visually. I liked this one more, but I have a lot of the same complaints and some mixed complaints. The dragging of it, or it felt long. There's some unfinished things. Am I going to watch this again? I mean, I kind of want to, because it's one of those things where I feel like this would be a movie I really like.
Right.
So in the beginning, I was saying, I totally want to watch this movie again, because I feel like maybe I was missing something. But then talking to you about it, I'm like, no, you know what? Maybe this is one I wasn't missing anything. And this is really just how I experienced it. And so I feel like I liked it just as much, but different reasons as Warm Bodies. So I'm going to go with a 3.25.
Okay. You talked me down a little bit, actually. I thought I knew what I was going to give it, but now I think I'm going to go lower. Because you're right. Like, I'm really waffling. Like, I feel like there's so much to like. There's so much good stuff. And I really wow, what an experience watching this movie. But just, there was some weird shit that I just wish was done differently. And the lack of chemistry is really, I think, bringing the score down for me. But I think overall I did like it more. So I think I'm going to give it like a 3.85.
Nice.
I'm like looking at things as I'm saying it. Yeah, I think I'm going to give it 3.85. Yeah.
It just feels right.
Yeah.
It could have been a higher score if these things... I totally wrote it.
You did it.
It could have been a higher score if these things would have been remedied. A higher score for us. But you know what? Honestly, by the stats that you gave earlier, maybe it would have been a higher score for a lot of people. Yeah. Maybe it would have made sense a little more to a lot of people, and they would have liked it more.
Yeah, I definitely am curious to see more people's reads on it. I try not to look up our friends' reviews or other people that we know, because it's like, I don't want to be influenced by that. I want to have like my own thought about it. But yeah, I wonder if other people feel the same way. It's just, there was like some missing stuff, Yeah. But God, I wanted to like it a lot. And I did. I think there's a lot of value. So anyway, it was a good discussion.
There we are. All right, everybody. Again, happy Valentine's. We love you. And our next episode, which will be tomorrow, if you're listening to this on Valentine's, is Life After Beth. So we're giving you a little romantic double feature. If you like us, please do follow us on Instagram at 2 Chicks and a Horror Flick, or search us on your favorite social media platform. We're going to be there, and follow us there. I really made that super wordy, but you get it.
And if you want to support the show, please give us a like, review, and subscribe on whatever podcatcher you're listening to us on. So we'll see you tomorrow, and we hope you have such a good night. No nightmares.